Is the iPhone 17 the upgrade you've been waiting for, or is your current phone still the better choice? In this video, I'll be comparing the iPhone 17 to the past 6 generations of iPhone, so you'll know exactly what's changed and whether or not it's time to upgrade. I'm only going back to the iPhone 11 because if you have an iPhone XR, XS, or older, you may want to already consider upgrading because your phone will no longer be receiving new software updates, including this year's newest release, iOS 26. Now, here's how this video will work. I'm going to start with the iPhone 16, sharing all the new features you'll be gaining if you're upgrading from that phone. All of those features will also apply to anyone coming from an older iPhone. I'll then work my way backwards and talk about the additional upgrades you'll be getting if you're coming from an iPhone 15, 14, and so on. And stick around until the end because I'll be comparing the iPhone 17 to the iPhone Air and iPhone 17 Pro to help you decide if one of those is the better choice. There's a lot to cover, so let's dive right in after a word from today's video sponsor, MagBak. If you're about to upgrade your phone, the MagBak Elite case is every accessory you need, all packed into one. First, protection. The Elite case is tough and durable with air cushioned corners, but it's not bulky like other rugged cases. It even comes with a tempered glass screen protector that is easily installed using the box it ships in. And then the case itself has several other features built right in. There's a retractable finger loop to help you hold onto your phone, a kickstand for propping it up, a USB-C port dust cover that doubles as a cushion for your pinky when you're holding your phone one-handed, and then there's its main claim to fame, the super strong magnets on the back of the case that allow you to mount it to pretty much any metal surface. And for everything else, they include a mag stick, letting you transform any surface into a phone mount. All their cases are of course MagSafe compatible, but the additional magnets unlock a whole separate ecosystem of MagBak accessories, including my personal favorite, the MagBak wallet. It snaps onto your phone way more securely than other MagSafe wallets, with room for up to 9 cards, a separate compartment just for cash, a built-in finger loop, and it even doubles as a kickstand. Be sure to use the discount code NICK15 for 15% off at checkout. I'll have a link in the description down below. Big thanks to MagBak for sponsoring, and now let's get back to the video. So, let's get started by comparing the iPhone 17 with the iPhone 16. This phone is only a year old, so if you own one, you probably shouldn't be upgrading, but surprisingly, there's actually several new features Apple has added to make the iPhone 17 a really good value. First, it has a larger 6.3-inch display with thinner bezels, which allows the iPhone 17 to remain roughly the same size as the iPhone 16. Just note, if you're coming from one of the iPhone Plus models or even one of the mini iPhone models, those screen sizes are no longer available. 6.3 inches is the only screen size option for the iPhone 17. But there's a lot more to it than just its size. This new display is even easier to use when outside with 3000 nits of peak outdoor brightness and a new anti-reflective coating that also reduces glare. It's also protected by the new Ceramic Shield 2, which means the front glass now has better resistance to cracks and scratches. But the best part about this new display is it now features ProMotion. With the iPhone 16, your display would always use a 60 Hz refresh rate no matter what you were looking at. Now with ProMotion, the refresh rate will dynamically change depending on your content, going all the way up to 120 Hz for a super smooth experience, and then going as low as 10 Hz if nothing is actually moving on your screen to help conserve battery. And for when you're not using your phone at all, the refresh rate drops to just 1 Hz, which is what enables the always-on display. Next, there's some big upgrades coming to the cameras. First, the rear ultra-wide camera is going from 12 megapixels to 48 megapixels. Then, on the other side, the front-facing camera is finally getting an upgrade to an 18 megapixel sensor. The coolest part about this sensor is it's a 1:1 square aspect ratio, and then Apple crops into it with a traditional 4:3 aspect ratio. And because it's a square sensor, they can change that crop to be larger or smaller, or portrait or landscape. So now it's possible to take a landscape selfie without having to hold the phone sideways. There's even some clever new AI that can automatically expand the field of view or change the orientation based on the number of people it detects are within the frame. Beyond just taking better selfies, the center stage front-facing camera also provides more stable video recording, and it'll keep you centered within the frame while on a FaceTime call. There's also a new dual camera video mode, which combines the front-facing camera and rear-facing cameras into a single video file. All of these new features are powered by the new A19 chip, which Apple claims is up to 20% faster compared to the iPhone 16. But the bigger gains here are related to battery life. Apple claims this new chip provides up to 8 more hours of video playback compared to the iPhone 16. Additionally, the battery now supports fast charging, with up to 50% charge in just 20 minutes. However, this feature does require you to be using a 40-watt or higher power adapter. Now, the final piece that makes this upgrade a really good value is the starting storage has doubled to 256 gigabytes, while the starting price remains the same at $799. Okay, so that's what's new if you're coming from an iPhone 16. Now let's take a look at what else you'll be getting if you're upgrading from an iPhone 15. First up, new buttons. The Ring silence switch has been replaced with a programmable action button, allowing you to choose from a variety of different functions to control. And there's no need to set it to open up the camera because there's also a camera control button. With just a click, you can launch the camera app, click again to take a photo, or long press to start recording video. It also recognizes half presses and swipes, letting you access different camera functions like zooming in and out. Now, let's talk about the cameras themselves. I already mentioned the 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera will be an upgrade for iPhone 16 owners, but beyond the higher resolution, there's also some new capabilities for anyone coming from an iPhone 15 or older. For example, it'll now perform better in low light, it has autofocus, and it's capable of macro photography. The vertical layout of the lenses also allows for spatial capture of both spatial photos and spatial videos. There's some improvements to video recording, like the audio mix feature, which lets you adjust the way voices and background noises sound in your video, along with improved QuickTake video recording, which now records up to 4K at 60 frames per second. In case you weren't aware, whenever you're in the camera app, you can just slide the shutter button to the right to start a QuickTake video. One last camera feature to call out is the next generation photographic styles, which has been one of my absolute favorite ways to edit my photos. Now, let's talk about some of the features you'll be gaining with the latest generation of Apple Silicon. First is support for hardware-accelerated ray tracing, which allows you to play a growing library of AAA title video games. Next is Apple Intelligence. I made a video breaking down the rollout of Apple Intelligence and why it went so poorly, but despite what you may have heard, there are still plenty of extremely useful features that are available right now. For example, the cleanup tool in Photos is something I use all the time. If you press and hold the camera control button, it'll launch a special visual intelligence camera app, which lets you take a picture of whatever you want and learn more about it. And now in iOS 26, visual intelligence is also available whenever you take a screenshot. There's new controls at the bottom of the screen to ask ChatGPT about what you're looking at, or to perform an image search across the web and other apps installed on your phone. And you can even highlight a portion of the screen to search just that selection. Another new Apple Intelligence feature in iOS 26 is live translation, which automatically translates text and messages, displays translated captions in FaceTime, and provides spoken translations within the phone app. So already some great features available, and you're also future-proofing your phone for additional Apple Intelligence features that should come later on via software updates. So now let's take a look at the iPhone 14. You'll be receiving all the upgrades I've mentioned so far, plus a few more. First, there's no more notch, and instead you'll have the dynamic island. You can interact with it in a variety of different ways, like app switching and accessing live activities. Next, say goodbye to all your Lightning accessories and get ready to finally embrace the beauty of USB-C. We've covered a lot of the new camera features already on the iPhone 17, but I haven't fully covered everything about the main camera. Anyone upgrading from an iPhone 14 all the way back to the iPhone 6S has been using a 12 megapixel main camera, but now the main camera is a 48 megapixel fusion camera. What exactly is a fusion camera, you ask? Good question. Essentially, you have the ability to shoot full resolution 48 megapixel photos whenever you want to, which allows for very fine detail, but also very large file sizes. So instead, what Apple does is fuse together a 48 megapixel photo with a 12 megapixel photo to create a 24 megapixel photo, which still has excellent image quality, but in a much smaller file size. You got all that? The other unique thing they can do is use only the middle 12 megapixels of the sensor to create the equivalent of a 2x telephoto lens. Combined with the macro option on the ultra-wide camera, this gives you the equivalent of 4 different lenses to work with. One last camera improvement is the next generation portrait mode with focus and depth control. It even now captures focus and depth information whenever you take a photo, even if you're not in portrait mode, meaning you can turn any of your photos into portraits after you take them. Next up, iPhone 13 owners. There's really only 2 additional upgrades you'll be getting. First is the action video mode that lets you capture super stable video in a very bumpy or fast-paced environment. The other is all the new emergency assistance features. You'll have crash detection, roadside assistance via satellite, emergency SOS via satellite, and messages via satellite. For iPhone 12 owners, there's really only one additional feature you'll be gaining, and that's cinematic video mode. This is like portrait mode, but for video. It lets you jump between different focus points, and you can even modify all this after you film the video. But that's basically it. If you're coming from an iPhone 11, however, now there starts to be some significant upgrades again. First off, you'll be upgrading to a smartphone with 5G. Yeah, it was a really big deal for some reason. You'll also finally have MagSafe and access to that entire accessory ecosystem. You'll no longer have fully rounded edges. Instead, you'll have a flat edge design. Perhaps most importantly, you'll be going from an LCD display to a Super Retina XDR display, or what other companies call an OLED display, which means you'll now be able to watch HDR content, and the resolution has increased from 326 pixels per inch to 460. Okay, so that's every new feature you'll be getting if you upgrade to the iPhone 17. But what if you decide to go with the iPhone Air instead? Well, you'll be gaining some features, and you'll also be losing some features. First and foremost is the ultra-thin design. It's just 5.6 millimeters thick at, well, you know, the thinnest point. The screen size is slightly larger at 6.5 inches. It has a polished titanium frame as opposed to aluminum, and it has the ceramic shield too, not only on the front of the phone, but on the back as well. All of which combined makes this what Apple claims their most durable design ever. They seem pretty confident in that claim, as one of their executives was willing to toss the phone during an interview and dared the host to try to bend it.
I knew that was not going to happen.
It's okay, it's durable. Try to bend it.
You know what? Why not?
Go on, it's on me.
Oh my gosh.
Don't hurt yourself.
Powering the iPhone Air is the A19 Pro, which Apple claims is faster at CPU, GPU, and AI-related tasks compared to the base A19 chip. It also has the N1 chip, which is Apple's first custom-built wireless networking chip designed for an iPhone. The iPhone Air also has a C1X modem, which is Apple's newest custom-built 5G networking chip. All of these custom-built chips should make iPhone Air the most power-efficient iPhone ever built. So what's the battery life? Well, there's a few more tricks up Apple's sleeve to improve battery life. One of the most innovative aspects of this phone is that extra long camera bump Apple calls the plateau. They fit a large number of the components into that plateau, freeing up extra space for the high-density battery. Another way they freed up space for the battery was by making this an eSIM-only phone, meaning it no longer uses a physical SIM card. Because of all this, Apple claims the battery life on the iPhone Air lasts up to 27 hours of video playback, which is only 3 hours less than the iPhone 17, and 1 hour more than the iPhone 16e. Now, let's talk about some of the other features that are missing on this phone. First up, there's only a single speaker at the top of the phone. Next, as you probably could already tell, there's only a single camera on this phone. It's the same 48 megapixel main camera on the iPhone 17, but the ultra-wide lens is missing. Because of that, there's no macro photography and no spatial photos or videos either. The iPhone Air starts at $999, which is $200 more than the iPhone 17. So for the majority of people, the iPhone 17 is likely the better option, but if you don't need all the camera features and want your phone to just feel like a floating piece of glass, then it may be the upgrade for you. But what if you're looking for everything an iPhone has to offer, or maybe you're even upgrading from an older Pro model? Let's take a look at what else you're getting with the iPhone 17 Pro. The 17 Pro has the same 6.3-inch display as the iPhone 17, but the 17 Pro Max has the biggest iPhone screen ever at 6.9 inches. The only difference between a 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max is the larger screen size, and the Pro Max also has a larger battery. Both phones have been redesigned with an aluminum unibody and a large camera plateau, allowing for much larger batteries than previous generations. One important note, unlike the iPhone Air, there are versions of the 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max with a physical SIM card. However, those models will have smaller batteries than the eSIM-only versions that are also available. In addition to larger batteries, the long battery life is thanks in part to the A19 Pro chips inside the 17 Pros. These particular chips have a 6-core GPU, as opposed to the chips inside the iPhone 17 and iPhone Air, which only have 5-core GPUs. Another major addition to the Pro models this year is a vapor chamber cooling system. The way this works is a little bit of water is sealed inside this chamber, constantly evaporating and condensing to move heat away from the A19 Pro chip, allowing for higher sustained performance. If we look at the back of of the phone, you'll see it has a third camera lens, and that's the 48 megapixel telephoto lens. All three lenses on the iPhone 17 Pros are 48 megapixel fusion cameras, meaning the new telephoto lens offers a 4x 100mm zoom and an 8x 200mm zoom. Finally, there are some advanced camera features only available on the Pro models, like the ProRAW format for professional photo editing, recording video in ProRes or Apple Log for professional color grading, and one of my favorites, 4K video at 120 frames per second for some gorgeous slow motion. Some of these video formats require you to record onto external storage, and only the Pro models can do that because they're using a USB-C port with USB 3 speeds. The iPhone 17 Pro starts at $1099 and the 17 Pro Max starts at $1199. The iPhone 17 goes up to 512 gigabytes of storage, while the iPhone Air and 17 Pro go up to 1 terabyte of storage, and the 17 Pro Max goes up to an insane 2 terabytes of storage. I'll be sharing reviews of my experience with the iPhone Air and 17 Pro Max right here when they're available. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see those and more videos like this. I'm Nick Bradley. Thank you so much for watching.